braved this weather and joined us this evening. That clearly shows how much you are keen to create more wealth and happiness. Notwithstanding, let me briefly tell you what's happening in MMA next few days. If you by any chance you missed it in your inbox, don't miss some of the outstanding events what you are bringing it to this month and next month. Now on 23rd of June, we have a seminar on real estate agile. It's all about accounting, IT, legal, sustainability, green, everything about real estate and construction. We've got some outstanding speakers, right from Ilangovan, who's the director of DGFLI. We got Saravanan, who is a principal officer of RERA. We got Anusha, we got Vaitishwaran, one of the brilliant legal mind. Pavitra Sri Prakash, great architect and sustainability. Prasanna Krishnan, Srikanth, and T.G. Suresh. They're all talking about all gamuts connecting with the real estate, be it merger and acquisition, be it joint venture, be it how to deal with direct taxes, how to deal with capital gain, how to be sustainable, what is green building, rules, regulations, everything. In one day, you will get quite a lot to listen from some of the brilliant speakers. It's happening on 23rd June, 9:30 to 4:30. This we are doing it jointly with Society of Auditors. It's a paid program with very, very nominal charges. You don't want to pay and you want to sit back and relax, it's also webcast live. You can watch it live from the place of your comfort. Then on Monday 26th, we have again a very, very interesting subject, talk on urbanization, social change and development, the Tamil Nadu experience. You know what's happening today in urbanization, how much is impacting not only the infrastructure, the way of living people, and some of you go to the village is one gets greatly impacted because many people move to the cities for urbanization. What's happening in the village? We got our outstanding speakers who will be talking on some of the issues, advantages, and what we should be taking from especially from the corporate world. We got Purnalingam, former Secretary of Government of India. We got Vijay Bhaskar, the Professor of Madras Institute of Development Studies. We also have Anju Mary. She is again Director of Danfoss Industry Affairs Communication and also Sustainability. It's and with our own Satyamurthy will be there. Then on 28th, we have not to be missed event. Generative conclave on generative AI and future is here. It's all about artificial intelligence, and we are one of the first organizations to do a full day seminar conclave on AI, and we have got some outstanding international speakers and national speakers. Some of the international speakers we'll be talking to is Gopi Kalyali, head of Google Strategy, is joining us from USA. Jaspreet Bindra, I know how many of you know Jaspreet Bindra. He's authority on AI. He writes regularly in Mint column, and he's going to talk about 5 important factors, which is going to be generative AI, 5 fundamental facts which you should understand. He'll be talking to us. And we got Shanky Viswanathan from TCS, head of business solutions from TCS, and this is the inaugural session. We have fundamental number of sessions we have. We have a session on understanding the AI, and it's all there in the website, and you can watch them. I can tell you they're all brilliant speakers, be it cybersecurity, be it deep dive into the thing, be it how it's useful to industry. Then industry usage, we have got some brilliant panelists from different industries. We have Dandabani from Zoho, we have got Vijay Nanadesikan, founder of FactTagger, and also Kaushik Krishna Sai, Senior Director, Product Manager, Kissflow. We also have Nathan Sambamurthy, he is founder CEO of Institute of Analytics from USA. Then we also have Kevin Kumar Kandaswamy, founder CEO of My Production and Director of VSkill. So these are some of the speakers who will be talking to us on that day. If we already have about 200 registrations for this, we got, yes, this auditorium can take about 325. We will take till the last. Again, you are not want to come and you want to sit at back. All our events are webcast live. I really urge upon the students, please pass it on to your fellow students, because how is it going to impact your employability? And today, your job won't be taken away by AI. Your job will be taken away by somebody who uses AI very substantially. So it's good to understand and start working on it. It's very, very important. Besides that, we also have a number of events happening at our outreach program. We have event about Posh is happening at Mahindra Well City, and we have got Madhuri Guruswamy is going to be talking to us. Then we also have an event on lessons from the world of cricket at Indian Institute of Foundrymen. Again, we have got Swaminathan talking to us. We also have a talk on the resilience, the mantra for success at Andhra Chamber. Design thinking, it's happening at Pondicherry. So a lot of events. Please see our website. And I already eaten up quite a bit of time for today. Today's program. And you all know Read and Grow is again an outstanding program which we bring to you every month. We do this exclusively for students, conceived and developed and planned and executed by a team of professionals who devote so much of their time to do this month after month after month. So what I would really urge upon the students to really pass it on to your students. They're not able to come, doesn't matter. Watch it from your own place. It'll do a world of a good to you. It'll make you a great citizen. It'll make you a great leader. It'll make you a great person. You'll be worthy of having in any corporate industry. Today, the topic what we'll be discussing is the Almanac of Naval by Ravikant is Guide to Wellness and Happiness. This is a book written by Jorgen and Eric. It's written by Eric Jorgenson, and we are going to have a very, very interesting discussion on this book. We have an outstanding panel who is going to be talking to us today on this topic, and these panels are very carefully chosen by the leader. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome the distinguished panel for this evening, Mr. Babu Krishnamoorthy, then Mr. Chandrashekar Kupperi, and Rajesh Devaraj. May I request you please take your place on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, I think very warm means it should be really warm. People should be here, and I really liked it. That's lovely. Because after our refreshments, we want a lot of energy actually. I hope the refreshment, you liked it this evening? Good, very good. Yes. Before I request Babu to take on, let me briefly introduce a distinguished panel for this evening. And will you show the video about, just put it, I also forgot to tell you, the Chindication Innovation Award is on. And we are waiting for the nominations. Just this the 30 seconds video, have a look at it.
Are you an innovator? If yes, here's your golden chance to celebrate your business. The 12th edition of the most awaited annual Chinni Christian Innovation Award from Coven Care and Madras Management Association is now open for online nominations from entrepreneurs and small businesses across India. Startups and SMEs with an annual turnover of not exceeding Rs 50 crores are welcome to participate. Log on to covencare.com, mmachennai.org or give a missed call to 97899 60398. The last date for receiving nominations is 15 July 2023.
Yes, if you have a friend, this is a national level innovation competition which you do it jointly with Kevin Care. There's a national level. We have competition participants from all over the India. Some of the brilliant innovators come. You do pass it on, all the viewers watching the program live. Do pass it on to your colleagues, friends who you think is worthy of receiving this innovation. It's got a national level branding, plus they'll also get a prize money of Rs 1 lakh. And let me also warmly welcome all the viewers watching the program live. As usual, if you have any questions, please, the numbers which is on your screen, just send your questions. Our team will compile them and put it to the distinguished speakers. There is a forum, you can ask all the questions, but please restrict your question to the theme, what we are discussing this evening. So let me have the privilege of introducing Babu Krishnamoorthy. Probably known as Babu. He is the founder of Chief Sherpa of Finsherpa Investments Pvt Ltd, and a boutique of wealth management firm based in Chennai and catering to the financial needs of high net worth in India and abroad. A fellow of the Institute of Cost Accounts, Chartered Account of India. Babu has over 20 years of experience in the area related to finance, money management. Prior to Finsherpa, Babu has also co-founded Falcon Wealth and been associated with Allegro Capital, a leading investment banking wealth management house. And Babu is an avid reader, non-fiction books, and is an amateur marathon runner. And Babu is an active Rotarian and is also part of the Madras Club of RCME and the past president of IFA Galaxy, where he's done some phenomenal work in the area of mutual funds and he got about 25 fellow distributors to co-author the book called Stay Hungry and Stay Bullish and How to Build Robust Mutual Fund Distribution Business. Very warm welcome to you, Babu. I don't think anybody better than Babu to be here this evening to share his insight. Then, dear friend and a brilliant person, and I wish any of the youngster to emulate him in whatever he does, is Chandrashekar Kupperi. He is the founder of ANOVA Corporate Service Pvt Ltd. Shekhar is experienced professional with nearly over 2 decades of diverse sector expertise in FMCG, life insurance, audit, assurance, oil, gas industries, and previously served as a group finance director of Lord-named group of UK-based multinational company. Shekhar has led many activities, including involved over 11 acquisitions and 4 investments across North America, Europe, India. And Shekhar is an active angel investor with investment with over 30 startups. He served as a non-executive director of mid-sized companies in India and abroad. Shekhar is a qualified chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary. He is also achieved remarkable accolades throughout his career, including rewards for his excellence in cost management. It's a pleasure to have you, Shekhar. Have you back. Welcome back to MMA. Then another brilliant speaker for this evening is Rajesh Devaraj. He is a co-founder of Uniform Craft Pvt Ltd. Rajesh has over 2 decades of experience in top management roles in textile industry, both as a manufacturer and as a trader. He is also co-founder of Uniform Craft Pvt Ltd. Rajesh is an engineer by education with a master's degree in electrical engineering. He strongly believed as a young engineer that management is for dummies only, to learn the hard lesson that it was not. He will explain why he wrote this letter. He took several smart decisions which led to a business collapse and bankruptcy, and took the whole 4 years to come out of the late 90s, and having emerged wiser, has been a big believer and practitioner in consistency, focus, seeking compounding effect over the long period of time. We have, is better off. There's always a lady behind the success of a man. I think all that has been sorted out because the lady behind is Mrs. Shekhar is here. Very warm welcome to you, madam. Very warm welcome to Shekhar. It's a pleasure to have you with us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a very feast of the evening, and be ready with your questions as much as we're all looking forward to hearing your thought-provoking views. Over to you, Babu.
Thank you, Captain Vijay Kumar. Always a pleasure being here once in 3 months. And picking up a book, analyzing it with 2 very, very experienced panelists is always a pleasure. And Vijay Kumar is the Vande Bharat Express, so to say, packs in so much into the thing. He sets really the energy and the tempo behind the session today. So thank you so much. And without much ado, I'm just going to jump right in. So as the one of the persons who curates this once every 3 months, I have the unique opportunity of selecting the book. And to that extent, I think it's important for me to explain the rationale or the logic of why this book was chosen. First up is to give you the Almanac of Naval Ravikant is what we're going to discuss today. And Naval Ravikant, just to kind of give you a sense, is not a writer, is not an author. He is actually an Indian-born American who's made it big in the US, especially in the Silicon Valley area. We know of a few Indians who've done it really big, but Naval Ravikant is a lesser-known name in that space, but he is very much a part of the success of Silicon Valley over the last 2 decades. And so he has made some priced bets on companies like Uber and 100 other companies, of which many of them have seen very successful exits. And that's how he has made his, millions or billions, as we may call it. And it's really that form into why and what the context is. So that's really the background about Naval Ravikant. Now, coming back to the book, it's a very interesting book. If you happen to be in the airport and you're passing through one of the bookstore in the airport and this is staring at you, it's really a temptation to pick it up, because in a fundamental sense, man's quest, all of our quest in life is to find money, because money provides the security that we all need. So at the end, it's all about getting money. And the other quest is to find happiness, right? So these are the 2 fundamental quests. If somebody has money and happiness, I think they're pretty much sorted. They don't need to look for anything else. So since this was the basic requirement, I thought this will be an interesting book, an insight for us to pick up and discuss. And truth be told, the book doesn't disappoint you. So first up, I will say, the book is an extremely distilled wisdom of somebody who has gone through 20, 25, 30 years of experience in living, working, running enterprises, personally, having seen their experience is kind of distilled into some wisdom. And being tweets, it's really, really short. But the author has tried to elaborate wherever necessary for whatever, so that people who are reading it from different contexts can understand the background of it. So that's really the thing. Largely, the book is divided into two parts, like I said, the pursuit of money and the pursuit of happiness. And while externally the belief is that money begets happiness, the author begs to differ, and he says money is different and happiness is entirely different, because we see a lot of very rich, miserable people. So it's important. Money is a very base stuff which is needed for life. But beyond that, how does one achieve happiness, and how does one stay in the state of happiness is what he gives a few insights. The other thing I like about the book is it's not preachy. It does not tell you do A, B, C and then you'll be happy, or do A, B, C and you'll be rich, right? So that's not the purpose. It gives you some overall messages and gives you some context. And the way I read this book, and I'm sure each of the panelists will also give you the perspective, is that most of the books when you read, you're reading it continuously for about 30-40 minutes until your eyes ache, and then you kind of stop reading and then you continue on. Or if it's a novel, you may even do it for a longer period. This is a different book. The way I read this book is, I'd read 1 page or 1.5 page, and then I'll keep the book down and I'll look up. Because it sets you thinking. Each of those points sets you thinking, right? As a financial person, as a wealth manager, I have often defined different concepts in a monetary scenario. Say, as an example, retirement, right? So retirement, I have defined it as a period of financial freedom in some form, and so on and so forth. But the author has quite beautifully defined it into three very, very distinct categories, what he calls retirement. He says retirement or financial freedom is when either of the three is achieved. First one is, you are able to generate a set of passive income without having to go to work. And that income is enough for you to live the life that you so desire, is called retirement. Second, he goes on to define that retirement can also be when you reduce your needs to a certain point where it's almost like a monk-like existence, and whatever you have is enough for that need. That can also be retirement. So retirement need not only be achieving a certain amount of wealth. It can also be by reducing your expenses to a point where you're comfortable. It has to be at your comfort. And last but not the least, it's also about a point where you have assets or investments that can continuously generate a certain amount of income for you in some sense. And he talks about the concept that retirement can also mean a journey where you're not working for the money. You're enjoying the work so much, or you're so passionate about that role, that money becomes very incidental. He says that's also a form of financial freedom. Now, I knew one dimension, which was the first dimension. The other two dimensions were revelations to me. And when I look back around people around me, I discovered that I can see all three varieties of people around. So it's really a very evolved mind that can think about even a financial concept like retirement in multiple dimensions. So I had great insights reading this book. And it's a book that you will need to mull over. It's not something that you read and it applies. You will need to read it and think about how your life journey has been, and you're able to relate to it. And that makes the book even more interesting and even more enjoyable to read. Before I call my first panelist, I also want to give this small tip. While I did buy this book on Amazon, physical book, this book is available as a free download on the internet. you can go and download a free PDF version of this book. So what this means is the author did not write this book so that he can make some money out of it or he can make something out of it. He wrote this book essentially so that a certain amount of wisdom, in fact, Eric has actually compiled all this. It's about the wisdom of Naval Ravikant is what is being trying to kind of portray. The idea is to reach the wisdom of Naval Ravikant to more people, and especially the younger people who may not be denied this because they're not able to kind of put up 200 or 300 rupees to buy the book. So you can just go to that website that's available there in the Almanac of thing. You Google it, you will get the website. There's a PDF version you can download in 5 minutes. You can get started reading this. In that sense, I also like the idea behind that, right? So it's not a book that's kind of said it's available only here. You can only download it on Amazon by paying XYZ. It clearly states it's freely available for free download. So please go ahead and book it because we want the idea to spread, not that we hold that thing. So that's really the thing. I like the altruism. I like the philosophy behind making this available to more people, and that really gives you a background of who Naval Ravikant is and the thinking behind. So I'm going to pause here and bring Shekhar into the picture and get his initial thoughts about this book. Did I do the right thing of selecting the book? And you better say yes, but also give us your viewpoints.
Thank you, Babu. Thank you, Group Captain Vijay Kumar, Group Captain Venkat, MMA, all those who are present here, familiar faces, my friends, and all those who are listening even through the various virtual mediums. I think firstly, please join me in giving a big round of applause to Babu. What a book, man. It's an amazing book for two simple reasons. One is it's hardly 240 and odd pages, easy to read. It just got two parts, as Babu said. One is on, obviously, most important, duddu, wealth. And the second is even more beautiful, happiness. And what is fascinating for me is, Naval has got this broad followers because he is a rare combination of successful and happy. It actually sounds like two opposite words, huh? Successful and happy. That's how Naval is, rated, and that's why he's got this following. But I think let's not forget that we need to give credit to Eric Jorgenson also, because he took the pains of compiling the various tweets, the various blogs, the various discussions, and then compiling, in this beautiful book. Very easy to read. So what are my thoughts? It's actually a very deep question. So when I read the book, when I realized that there are two parts, wealth and then happiness, I was trying to look for certain words, keywords, and in my mind, I was seeing what else other words he was connecting with some of the keywords. My focus was on happiness. So there is this beautiful line in this book. It says, there are three big things in life. I'll repeat that. There are three big things in life. And Naval says, wealth, health, happiness. We pursue them in this order. Obvious, right? We believe that when we have wealth, we will also have health and happiness, because that's the magic of money. We pursue them in this order. Naval doesn't stop there. The next line is even more beautiful, but he says, but their importance is in the reverse. And what is the reverse? Happiness, health, wealth. Such a profound wisdom that if you have happiness, you can easily embrace wealth and health. And what I realized in this book is it's just not the nuggets of wisdom that Naval is giving us. I must say there's also spiritual insights, that we're getting from this book, which, truly fascinated me. And what is happiness? He says, the most important trick to be happy is to realize that happiness is a choice that we make and a skill that we develop. Look at this. He says it's a choice that we make, which means everything comes from us. I make the decision. My life is my responsibility, and no blaming is allowed. I make that choice. And then he says it's a skill that we develop. Skill and it's habit. So he's saying, can you make happiness as a habit? Wow. So whenever I look at a word, I always try to connect what are the words is he connecting with happiness, just like tentacles, for a particular word. Now I was trying to understand that if it is a choice and a skill, probably that's what our life is, right? Because any action that we take, any initiative that we take, to the best of my knowledge, for me or for any one of you out there are only 4 results. So any action, initiative I take, there are only 4 results. For you also it's true. The first result, it can exceed the expectations, which is superb, exciting. It can meet the expectations, that's the second, which is, okay, I've done well for myself. Third, it can fall short of the expectations, which means not so nice, but probably I can do something to get better, or I learn to accept. And 4, it can be opposite of my expectations. Ayo. That's what can happen. Now what Naval in this book beautifully says is, in any situation in our life, we always have 3 choices for the results that we have. The first choice is, this is so beautiful, so please give your attention. The first choice is, you can change it. The second, he says, you can accept it. And the third, he says, leave it. So, simply put, change the changeable, accept the unchangeable, get that, thought process of, I need to accept few things in life. And the third, remove yourself from the unacceptable. It's not a cup of tea, yaar. Why are you even fighting it? It's called fight emotion. This was so profound to me because somewhere I think Naval is trying to tell us that happiness is in the now. Happiness is in the present. It's not as if, it's somewhere. It's a choice that I make. It's a habit that I need to develop. It is in the now. He goes one more step. He says happiness is the emergent property of peace. Wow. Happiness is the emergent property of peace. And he beautifully says, peace is happiness at rest and happiness is peace in motion. And I was so fascinated because came with a choice, then he said it's a habit, then he said, you got to accept, now he's saying it's all about peace. And then I realized that when whatever is happening, and we accept whatever is happening, oh trust me, we will be at peace with ourselves. Because all of us will go through certain helpless situations in our life, but one thing that we need to learn is learn to be peaceful. And that was the essence, which I saw when I read the word happiness. I want to quickly share an incident. My cousin is in Hyderabad, and I went to Hyderabad to meet the cousin, and we had to meet a common friend. So my cousin said, on the way, we'll have to drop one of the uncles that he knew into a senior living home. And I said, okay, let's do that. It's a nice thing to do. So we got in the car, 70-year-old gentleman, tremendous corporate experience, amazing fluency in English. So he was speaking about the experience. At the same time, he was telling us about the generation gap. It was so fascinating. All along, what I realized was he was so happy. So we went into that senior living home, and then obviously there was this greeting and meeting. A lady came and asked him, sir, can I show you the room? The gentleman said, no, I'm going to simply occupy the room. Just give me the key. Now my cousin, hesitated because I think one of the objective of even driving him there was to find out how the room is, how the furniture is arranged. But this elderly person just looked at my cousin and said, my happiness does not depend on how the furniture is arranged. My happiness depends on how I arrange my mind. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And he said, happiness is not something that I postpone for the future. Happiness is something I design for the present. Happiness is something I decide even before that event happens. Now, this was so touching. So when I read the book, when Naval says happiness is a choice that you make, it's a skill that you develop, and then he uses the statement, First choose to be happy and then work on it. That's what he says. First choose to be happy and then work on it. What does that mean? He's saying that it's like building your muscles. For example, let's say I want to build my muscle. First I'll decide I want to build the muscle, then I'll figure out how to do it. I may go to a personal trainer, I may go to a gym, or I'll also do most of the guys who do live classes, or I'll do it by myself. But this is the beauty. You first choose happiness and then we work on it. That was a profound, sort of thought, and therefore I think this thought is something, that is very closer to my heart. There are three big things in life: wealth, health, happiness. We pursue them in this order, but the importance is in the reverse.
Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar. I don't know about you guys, but I get this feeling that there is an almanac of Chandrashekar Kupperi coming down the line somewhere.
Not at all. I think the book is so well written. Huh?
Yeah, no. So I think fascinating insights from Chandrashekar. So now I would like to kind of get Rajesh in. A few quick insights about when I have this work that I need to do. Once I choose the book, I have to find two victims who can kind of discuss this book with me. So I keep calling various people, right? So this time around, I called Rajesh, and he happened to be on a holiday. So I gave him this background about this book, and he immediately jumped at it. Of course, Shekhar here also accepted, but the way Rajesh reacted it, I get a feeling that he is in that zone now of this book. So I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on Rajesh. So I want to get your perspectives. Rajesh is a keen follower of lots of blogs and posts related to something like this. So over to you, Rajesh. So I'm kind of setting the context. Yeah, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Babu, and thank you, Group Captain Vijay Kumar, for inviting me. Actually, reached out to me saying, that would you like to review this book? I was in the middle of the holiday with family, and for some reason, I thought I was expected to be in the audience. And that's one of the other reasons why I jumped at it. But I also jumped at it because somebody introduced me to Naval, a couple of years back, and so besides his tweets, he also does 1-minute video blogs, which I happened to follow for a while during COVID, actually. And so anyway, so I'm happy to be here and share what I can. So this book had just a lot of wisdom packed in it. And like what Babu was saying, I read through it, and some of it resonated with me, some of it was so intriguing that I felt like I needed to reflect on it and revisit it again and again. So on the money part, there were some things which really resonated with me in terms of how my work life panned out, and I actually wanted to share some of that. So I was always been fascinated by how skill and luck interplay towards outcomes. You can take a good decision, have a bad outcome because you are unlucky. Or you could take a bad decision, you could still get a good outcome because you are lucky. So how do you figure out and learn from mistakes and go forward? So this is something which has been on our mind, and it's continues to be a mystery, so to speak. And if you look at Naval's book, it opens with this caption that says, "How to get rich without getting lucky." So that was a big hook for me. So he outlines a playbook about. So just to go back a little bit, he says he over the years figured out as to how to make, but he, just like how he said happiness is a skill, he also says that making money is a skill and he's figured it out. And if he had to go broke, he was confident that he could repeat the same thing in, as he calls it, 999 different parallel universes. So if he says, if I had to do it 1,000 times, I can have this playbook, I can apply this playbook in such a way that 999 times out of 1,000, you will actually go from poor to rich. So that is quite a claim. So I want to, kind of outline his playbook. He starts with saying that you should start with specific knowledge, be accountable, find leverage, and be get draw trust and be patient. So, and if you go through this in whatever form, you are most likely to end up making money. So I want to quickly reflect on my journey. So I had 2 innings, so to speak, on work. So the first one was as a yarn trader, which was over about a 10-12 year period. So in 2001, I was part of a delegation which went to Germany for a trade fair. And I was fascinated to find that all the 3,000, 4,000 square feet, the large stalls were occupied by these companies making premium products and just showcasing one particular product category. So they were specialists, so to speak. And all the smallest stalls had 10 different categories that they had packed into that small area. And there were alleys and alleys of such, really small stalls. And the only differentiation between any of these was that, one was cheaper than the other. And so for me, it was very clear that, I wanted to be a specialist and I did not want to be a jack of all trades. So when I came back to India, I set up a company called Fine Yarns. And so it's a trading company. And I wanted to be part of the supply chain that actually supplies to these specialists in Europe. Because I knew that they were actually sourcing from India. And I wanted to figure out where they are sourcing from and if I could make a difference in that decision. And so for me to call the company Fine Yarns was a big step because so this Fine Yarns was actually a small segment in the entire space. So you're actually positioning yourself on a niche area and saying that you're not going to be doing other things. So for me, it was a good starting point because I researched to see who were manufacturing fine count yarns and who were buying fine count yarns. And so it actually, the business took off from the ground. And so somehow in 2007, there was a global event where the dollar actually crashed substantially against the rupee. And I was in the middle of a trade where, there was a buyer and a seller, and if the buyer honored this contract, he was going to lose 11 lakh rupees. And because the buyers generally had more clout in the market, most of the buyers started to renegotiate their contracts with the sellers. And so which was the expectation from my buyer as well. Whereas my seller said that, I'm going to stick to my contract terms and they have no choice but to buy. So as an agent, you're morally responsible for the contract, but not financially. But I took a call that, I will bridge that gap. So I actually paid 5.5 lakhs to the buyer, which is a very big call for us at that point of time. And this This put me out as like an outlier agent. So I gained a lot of trust from both as a seller and the buyer. So I became the go-to agent for both of them. And my business doubled since then and grew steeply over the next 5 years. So I wanted to, go back to what Naval was saying. So when he said build specific knowledge, he actually means to say that you need to leverage your strengths in such a way that you can position yourself the market and differentiate from the mass competition. And then if you stay the course for long enough, and if you're patient and if you build the trust in the marketplace, you will get rewarded. And the compounding that comes at the very end. And for me, for the first 5 years, it was a very gradual linear growth. But one event there which changed the course of the business for me resulted in my business growing by 3 times over the next 5 years. So my compounding came the second half, but the fact that I played in that space for long enough, luck actually found me, so to speak. So, yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Rajesh. That is a fantastic live example of what Naval talks about as compounding. I'm now going to go and find out, these are very many stories, many tweets and many insights that Naval talks about. But I wanted to also dwell whether some of these have actually kind of, we've had experiences, and that's what I requested of Shekhar and Rajesh to share, is that it's not just reading the book, it's sharing our individual perspectives and our learnings through the journey. That's going to bring greater insights to the talk. So one of the sections that Naval talks about is that, and he says a very interesting insight that easy choices bring a hard life, and hard choices bring about an easy life, right? And it's kind of a cross between what you want to choose. When I read this, I was immediately reminded of this this experiment that Stanford University did way back in the 70s, and the experiment was called as marshmallow experiment. Just to kind of give you a background, marshmallow experiment was an experiment where a 5-6-year-old child was left inside a room, and a marshmallow, which is a sweet dish, was placed in front of the child, and the child was told that this marshmallow is yours. So the child was free to take and eat it. But the child was told that the person who was facilitator there is going to step out of the room for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And she or he tells the child that you're free to eat it now, it's yours. But if when we come back, you are able to hold on to your temptation and not eat it, you will get 1 more marshmallow, right? So your reward will be 2, but to gain that reward, you will need to resist temptation for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, as the case may be, right? So that's what is called the marshmallow experiment. And it's a real life experiment that was done in 1970s. Now, as in any experiment, 50% of the kids succumbed to the temptation. The moment the facilitator walked out, they took it, ate it. This is available in YouTube. I urge you to go check it out later. Some of them resisted the temptation, wanted to wait so that they could get 2 marshmallows, right? So 50-50. Now, Stanford doesn't do anything in short measures. So what they did is, this experiment closed. 20 years later, they went back to all the 100 children who were part of this experiment. And they did a study to find out how they were doing in life as a whole, right? And one of the striking things that came out of this was that the number of children who were able to resist the temptation when they were 5 or 6 years old were far more successful in general than those who had succumbed to temptation. And I'm telling you this story because this is the distilled wisdom that Naval talks about, saying that in life all of us have easier choices, but he says at some point in time the curve is linear. And if you take easier choices to start with, you are going to have to take those tough life or tough decisions later. Whereas if you take the tougher choice to start with, then life progressively gets more easier. And at some point you will have to suffer. And I always have this concept that I learned through my growing up, is that all of us in life have one of two things to make, right? One is we can either choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. If you choose the pain of discipline, then there is a pain, of course there is a pain. Going to a gym is a pain, doing diet is painful, working hard, studying hard, all of this is painful. But that's the pain of discipline. But it's far less painful than the pain of regret. Not having done enough later. Having a health problem when you could have solved it by being healthier. Having a problem of maybe failure when you could have worked hard earlier. So these are choices that are available, and I thought the book spoke beautifully about these aspects, and I was able to resonate with some of this in my own life. I'm of course going to bring Shekhar, who is going to share one or two of these insights which you are able to resonate from your own life experience, Shekhar, and do share with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Babu, and Rajesh. That was a very good, example, to help us understand the concept better. I think, Babu, I'll just touch base on what you just said. I think it is said that, when we are easy on life, life will be tough on us. When we are tough on ourselves, life will be easy on us. And I think what Naval says is, in the book, he says that you should be impatient with actions, but patient with the results. Because unfortunately in today's world, the instant gratification is something, that the youth, sorry for, saying I can see a lot of youth in front of me, sort of used to, nangla jo oldies. So we have always, believed in delayed gratification because we know that we got to wait. And if you have read, this 20%, 80% rule, the Pareto principle, that exactly also relates to the same thing. It says 20% is wait. 80% is waiting for. You know what is waiting for? Sometimes we go to the lift, we press the button. Lift ku theriyum. If you press the button, the lift has to come down. But we keep on pressing. When we go to a restaurant, we would have ordered something. Okay? And it has to come. But what we will do, we'll look as the waiter is coming. The waiter will not come to a table, he'll come to the next table. It's called waiting for. So one of the beautiful aspects as insight that I got from the book is about money. Now I'm not saying this because I'm an investment banker, I run a venture capital fund. Honestly, no. I will borrow what Rajesh said. This is what Naval says. Naval says making money is not something that you do, it's a skill that you learn. And I'm a pakka finance guy, but trust me, this book was like an eye-opener. Oh, money. You need skill to make money. It's not your qualifications, it's not the even understanding of few things, that you have gone through the courses and the experience. It's a skill that you need to learn. And he says something very beautiful. Getting rich is knowing what to do, who to do it with, and when to do it. What to do, who to do it with, and when to do it. You asked me about my experience, right? So this exactly happened to me. Was with ExxonMobil, moved to KPMG, and then joined a mid-sized business. And the beauty about this mid-sized business is the shareholders, they were putting an equity into businesses. And I was just wondering, nada pandranga equity into businesses. I never realized there are two beautiful, gains that can happen. One is a capital gain, because when you sell it at an opportune time, you make the capital sum. But otherwise, you're also destined to receive some dividends, because that company is actually a standard company which is doing well. And Naval says beautifully, seek wealth, not money or status. And he defines wealth as having assets that earn while you sleep. Exactly what these guys were doing. They had put money into, in the name of investment, buying equity into enterprises, and that was giving them the bigger benefit. And Naval beautifully says in his book that if you want to create wealth, you need to own equity. If you have the book, please underline this line, because that was like a wonderful thing that we all need to know. If you want to build wealth, own equity. So last 5 years back, I became an angel investor, started investing in various startups. Fortunately, I must say that because we are speaking about luck. I've had 4 exits, profitable exits, looking for a few more exits. Of course, 1 or 2 will still not see, the light, but that's okay. So long, you're in the upward curve, that's good enough. That gave me the confidence that I should start my own fund, because I was thinking, how can I democratize the individuals, the HNIs, even to start looking into investing into a fund? Because typically a fund has got a very higher amount for them even to invest. But the fund that I have is called Angel Venture Capital Fund, which means it's easy for HNIs even to come in. Why am I saying this? Because making money is a skill. I'll use again one of the terms that you said, specific knowledge. You know what Naval says? You make money through your mind, not through your time. நம்மளா உள்டா பயங்கரமா உழைப்போம், கண்ணாபனா உழைப்போம், உங்க விட்டு எங்க விட்டு உழைப்பலாம் இல்லை, பயங்கரமான உழைப்பு. But then I realized that was not something that was leading to the results I was expecting. And Naval's philosophy is very simple. You earn with your mind, not with your time. What is he saying? He's speaking about this very beautiful 2 words called specific knowledge. And he says specific knowledge is something that can't be trained. It's not that literally it can't be trained. What he's saying is that it's left for the minority. There's something which is very, very unique about it. That's what he says. Why? Because specific knowledge is all about understanding the technical aspects, being creative, something that cannot be outsourced, something that cannot be automated. That's what he says. It's very creative. It's very technical. Can't outsource it. You can't automate it. So I'm just trying to still figure out what is the specific knowledge. And now he comes to the definition. He says, specific knowledge is found when you pursue your genuine curiosity and passion. I'll repeat that. Specific knowledge is found when you pursue your genuine curiosity and passion. And this was Nityadi. Because all of us are so passionate, all of us are so curious, for achieving greater heights in our lives. But the only question is that genuine? Are we willing to put that effort? Because he says, if it is simply mimicking the hot segment, simply mimicking the hot trend, simply mimicking because there's a herd mentality in you, that's not specific knowledge. In fact, he says that when you build specific knowledge, you feel like it's a play, while the others will feel like it's a work. And this is exactly what Steve Jobs said. Steve Jobs said, do what you love. Enna pudikardho, you do that. Say, mudiliya, love what you do. And I think that's something which is applicable not just to us, to the young community also. You got to love what you're doing, because sometimes we may not do what we love. But when you love what you're doing, it becomes a play. And because it's a play, you acquire specific knowledge. And specific knowledge is nothing but a skill to earn the money. I'm saying this with so much of conviction because all of us have heard this statement, right? We should be better than what we are good at. We should be best than what we are better at. I've also read a statement. It says, good, better, and best. Let them never rest until good becomes better and better becomes best. Super. And that's what it says, So Naval says something even more beautiful. He says, become the best in the world at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until it is true. Just look at this meaning of specific knowledge. it's not just important that I feel that I'm good at what I do. I got to keep redefining what I do so that it comes out true also. Like people should come and visit you and say, you're the best in what you do here. And to me, that is a profound insight I got about specific knowledge and making money. Because making money is an art, it's a skill. And if we don't learn that, probably we'll use our time, enough time, and maybe feel, that we're not doing justice to our potential. How many of you feel we're not doing justice to our potential? I feel that all the time. And that's why I keep telling myself, that, we got to become skillful. And I think this word specific knowledge is something, that really caught my attention. That's the biggest insight I've got out of it. And thanks, Rajesh, for bringing that,
Thank you, Shekhar. As always, you have a passion behind the way you put things. Rajesh, one or two specific insights that I'm sure the book by its whole is also inspiring. But I'm sure, like I mentioned and like Shekhar mentioned, there is one thing that kind of goes and attaches to your mind and gets caught from our own life experience. Talk us through about one or two things that kind of caught your imagination and which I think will help you kind of progress through the next decade using this.
So I'm sorry I referred heavily on our work, but I just couldn't help but do it because I could relate to this book closest to our life experience. So I'm actually going to quickly go through part 2 where, so while I was trading in Yan, so Archana, my wife who's here, so she was manufacturing uniforms for the hospital industry and mainly doing customized uniforms for the large hospitals. So over a period of time, we did accumulate a lot of mid and small size accounts, and serving the small accounts through a customized format became very inefficient. But that's the default format in which the market works. So at some point, we decided that if we were to mass produce through an assembly line setup and do a stock and sell kind of format, it will probably be a runaway success. So we acted on it, and we actually rolled it out but to our surprise that there were very few takers. So the existing format in the market was these small clinics or small hospitals, they would ask a tailor to come and customize uniforms for them. And they were, the tailor was not only customizing the uniform, they were also customizing the service they were providing. Whereas we were offering, a standardized product and offering a standardized route to sell to them, which was through e-commerce. So in a hospital, let's say you have 10 nurses and then the tailor does the first order. Say after 2 months, one nurse leaves and a new nurse comes. They now need just 2 uniforms. So it became inefficient and the tailor was, more often than not willing to go and do that. So this was a clear pain point and we felt that we could address it through the stock and sell format. But the existing culture was so dominant that it got some traction, but it was growing very slowly. And come COVID in 2020, our business model got really validated and our e-commerce became much bigger than the B2B business that we were doing. So I want to, so from the time we started this initiative until COVID, it's about 5 years, and then another 3 years now. So this model really took off. So between my first experience and the second one, I kind of realized that only if you're in the game long enough will luck actually find you. And Babu, being a wealth manager, can more than resonate with that. And so Naval in his book also talks about play long-term games with long-term players. So what he actually means is that if you're in a space long enough, you will find associations with whom you can build trust and you can leverage on that trust. And then the benefits you get are mostly in the end, which is through compounding. And that can give you financial freedom. And, so on the happiness side, I think I'm going to wait for it in the third part. Are we running out of time?
We are a little bit running on out of time. So you can continue on and give us your insights about anything specifically you would have wanted to see covered in this book, or any other thoughts on this book which you want to leave as a concluding thoughts to this. Then I'll go over to Shekhar, along with your happiness.
Yeah. So I think while Shekhar understood specific knowledge to a point where it was a takeaway from him, so I was actually reflecting on it and thinking that if I were to exit the second business that we are doing, and if I were to restart, what would I do? And I really was kind of lost. So that's one area for me to really reflect on. Specifically on the specific knowledge thing. And on the happiness side, I read this book by a psychologist from Harvard called Susan David. So she beautifully put it that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, you have a choice. And in that choice lies your freedom and growth. And if we have to go back to, the space that she was talking about, you could react to stimulus in various different ways. And for me, I actually feel that relationships and the quality of relationships, one is your relationship with yourself, and also your relationship with others makes a big difference to your baseline happiness index as well. And so that's one area which I thought Naval probably didn't touch upon. And, I think otherwise I found it to be a beautiful book, which I'm going to revisit over and over again. Absolutely.
Thank you, Rajesh. I love the way you connect the book with your own personal experiences. That kind of brings the richness of the understanding for all of us as well. So thank you so much. Shekhar, your closing comments, your thoughts on, could Naval have covered a little bit on health? Since he talked about wealth, health and happiness, I felt maybe he could have talked a bit on health as well. Did you have any such thoughts, or is there anything that you want to leave behind for the young audience? To what would you want them to do, apart from requesting them to download the book and read it? Is there a more powerful message you want to leave behind? Your closing comments.
Thank you, Babu. I mean, Naval has definitely covered on health, because he says that a peace of body will lead to peace of mind. So he does speak about yoga, he does speak about meditation. He also says that a food, which is cooked for a longer time is something that you should not consume a lot, because it's not going to do good to you. And Naval also says something beautiful. He says that if you don't consider things as a play, there's a chance that, we're going to get into depression. So he also speaks about the mental, wellness. To that extent, Naval has gone, because it's all his tweets. It's not that, he has just decided to write a book and then, start. So I think there's a lot more that he has said about health. And I always believe that when we nourish, we flourish. So I think it's very important that we take care of our health. But if you ask me what is the wisdom, that I would also want to share, and something maybe for the students out here also, is that Naval says about specific knowledge by adding a comment saying that it can't be acquired in schools or colleges. He says you got to think about internship, about apprentice, being an apprentice. I mean, we call as even articleship. So if you're trying even to become a mentee under a mentor, I think find mentors, who are going to be hard on you in terms of the task that they assign, because only then the specific knowledge gets developed. So that's one of the key messages which I learned for myself. The second important insight, if I want to share, is about, again, happiness. And Naval has put one more word to happiness. He uses the word desire. And he says that every desire is a chosen unhappiness. I'll repeat that. Every desire is a chosen unhappiness. And he says desire is a contract you make with yourself to remain unhappy until you achieve what you want to achieve. And that's very true. The moment we have achieved what we achieve, probably our unhappiness will fade away. But what is the message Naval is trying to say here? Naval is saying that, can you focus on that one important, most relevant happiness for you? What is that desire that can make you, absolutely happy? Can you just focus on that one overwhelming desire? And he says it's okay to suffer to achieve that. That's the level at which, he speaks about desire. And when I read that, I was able to relate this to the scriptures and especially, our own divine Bhagavad Gita, because it uses the word detachment. And detachment is such a powerful word, and Bhagavad Gita defines it so beautifully. Bhagavad Gita says, detachment is not that you own nothing. Detachment is that nothing owns you. Just imagine if you can get to that maturity level. Detachment is not that you own nothing. Nothing owns you. And the greatest detachment is being closer to everything and not letting anything consume or own you. And I think this was very profound as a message, that I got from the book. And of course, Navar also speaks about a very important concept. I mean, he says that, the most important aspect that we need to learn in life is that we all want money, but never lust for money. Because he says that if you're going to lust for money, there's a never-ending situation in our life, which is not good for us. So he doesn't speak from a societal angle or from the fact that you're lusting for money. He says that, it is one of the worst situations to get into. And finally, if I have to add the last one, he says inspiration is perishable. So one thing that you have to be very careful is, because even I feel like that. If I see something, I feel inspired. Wow, I'm going to do it. But the problem is it's perishable. So he says the moment you're inspired, can you work on it and get it done? Just get it done with. So that's the most important message I felt for myself.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you so much. We have a couple of online questions. If there are any questions here too, we'll take, but I'm going to give priority to people. Revati from Salem, this question is to you, Shekhar. Financial literacy and education play a critical role in achieving wealth and happiness. At what age should this start? And this is a 30-second question.
So my request is whenever you're ready. So I think there's no age, to get into financial literacy, because the world of finance is an ocean. Trust me, even now I'm learning. In fact, Naval says beautifully that if you want to become rich, put yourself into continuous education. So the answer is, whenever you feel, that you're capable of getting into it and you have good mentors or people around you who can tell you what it is, get into it.
Just a quick addition is that as a wealth manager, I think it's important to start, investment concepts even while you're at school. Unfortunately, my panel will attest that we didn't have that education when we were in school, but the national education policy does talk about financial literacy at a school level. So hopefully, in the coming years, we will see 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th talk about a bit on financial literacy, which is so very important. So I'm going to add that to what this thing said. So Peter from Bangalore, who is watching us online, has this question. I'm going to put this to you, Rajesh. How does the concept of giving back or contributing to others' well-being impact our own wealth and also happiness? How to improve or increase the joy of giving? Does the book talk about this aspect? 30-second quick answer. We are running short of time. Yeah.
No, I don't recall seeing this in Naval's book. So, I don't know. Do you recall reading
the book itself is about giving back, because Naval gives back everything. But on specific, on wealth, whether there is a giving back, joy of giving back, I don't think that's covered.
But I think for me, it's about coming up with some formula in your head which you can put forth and be consistent around it. So otherwise, it's very hard to decide how much you want to keep and how much you want to give away. And I think the word around there is to be consistent with what you think makes sense to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh. I'm going to put this question because I'm trying to play alternate tennis game, right, across the court.
எனக்கு தெரியல நாங்க பாஸ் பண்ணிருந்தோம்.
Yeah, absolutely. So Regina from Pondicherry has this question. How can we overcome societal pressures and expectation regarding wealth accumulation? Does the book address this issue?
So the book has already said, acquiring this wealth is actually a skill. It's already said that. So I think if somebody is skillful in acquiring wealth, that itself shows that there is an innate talent. We speak about luck. In fact, there's a beautiful definition for luck. Luck is labor under correct knowledge. That's what they say. So I think acquiring wealth is an art and a skill. That's what it says. And if I need to quickly add, one more aspect, Naval beautifully says that ethical wealth is possible. There's a beautiful line which says ethical wealth is possible. So for Naval, everything is ethical. When he uses the word accountability, he's speaking about responsibility, how you can be ethical. So it's very much possible.
Thank you, Shekhar. Carolyn from Delhi. Rajesh, this question comes to you. How can we create a sense of purpose and fulfillment beyond financial success? And how does this contribute to long-term happiness?
So I think Naval talks a lot about finding your a peace of mind. Can you go back to the question about
how do we create a sense of purpose and fulfillment beyond financial success? And how does it contribute to long-term happiness? So sense of purpose can be interpreted as passion. And what Naval talks about is that as long as your passion in what Shekhar talked about, just to kind of paraphrase, is that if you love doing what you're doing, then the earning becomes a bonus, right? There is joy, there is enjoyment. It's almost as if you can do it for free and somebody paying you money for it is just the extra bit. So it's really that. And if there is anything more, yeah, great. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to, next question, open to both of you, any of you can answer. Wealth and happiness, how do they relate to each other? Does wealth give happiness or does happiness create avenues for wealth? Yeah, go for it.
I think to me they are an unbeatable combination because I always feel that money in the hands of good people can create a lot more goodness in the society. So I think people who claim to be good, one of the issues is that, they're not becoming wealthy. And unfortunately, the wealth sometimes is in the hands of wrong people. And therefore, I think they go hand in hand. They're an unbeatable combination is what I feel. And I think people, who are, kind of knowledgeable should make it a habit to acquire the skill because I think because of them, a lot more can also become abundant. And therefore, this is something, that to me is a great bundle.
So just to add on to what Shekhar said, Veljan from Pune, who's asked this question, is that at a base level, we all need money. Or if you use the word wealth. So at a base level, for our basic needs, we need wealth. But as Shekhar had said earlier, happiness is the basic necessity. If you're a happy person, if you're happy following the passion in your heart, then wealth will automatically follow at some level, right? So I do believe that a certain amount of money is important, but happiness is even more important if you're able to pursue your passion and that makes you happy, then the money will automatically follow because whatever you do passionately, you're bound to do it the best and therefore society will reward you back with wealth. So that's my kind of thing. So is there any questions out here or? Yeah, we have two questions. Do we have time? Yeah, go ahead. Two questions if we can have mics. Please ask either for Shekhar or Rajesh. Brief question and a brief answer. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. I'm Aryan Singh from VIT Business School. So, sometime as a youngster, we fell in a loop of negative spiral, and we cannot make correct decision. We cannot think of changing it or accepting it. We just leave it and do whatever we want, and get stuck in negative spiral. How to come out of that spiral? I wanted to ask.
I think one of the ways, that's a very good question. Give him a hand first. It's a very good question. Happened to me also. Happened to me also. I think one of the best ways, is you have to choose certain mentors for yourself. And mentors are not, gray hair. Mentors are somebody whom you look up to. It could be sometimes, a friend of yours. Okay, it could be somebody who's your classmate. Somebody who could be, whom, you have met and you feel that, no, it's easy to talk to them. I think that gives you certain pearls of wisdom. And that would be, my sort of a feeler. Have people whom you can look up to and even seek their guidance when you're in this perturbed situation or an unknown area.
Yeah.
Sir, it was wonderful listening to you on wealth and happiness. Okay, my friend said, richness is not earning more, not spending more, not saving more. When you say, I need no more, that's what is richness. What is your viewpoint? Thank you.
I think that's, first of all, a very beautiful statement. So let's give a hand, to that beautiful statement itself. Right? So one of the aspects which even, was brought in this book is, I think Babu beautifully said, sometimes, you can have that monk-like feeling. But I always say that, we live in a practical world. And I think it's so nice to say that I can be beyond all this, what I'm calling as wealth. But I think if you need to do better things to the outside world, you need money in your hands. And that's why I said, good people needs to have this amazing ability of making wealth, because a lot more goodness can happen through them. And therefore, my humble suggestion is, it's a beautiful aspect, very philosophical, to say that if I don't aspire, or if I don't even expect things, accept everything, expect less. Such a beautiful thing. But I think if we believe that we are good people, we have a huge responsibility to make money and ensure that we are able to do a lot more good to others.
Absolutely. Well said.
My name is Raj Gopalan. My question is on this specific knowledge. We spoke a lot about specific knowledge, but today with the rapidly changing technology, innovation, and so much happening, generative AI and all of these, acquiring specific knowledge in itself is such a big task. So how do we even grapple with it?
Again, a very beautiful question.
No, actually, if you remember, that was one of my questions as well.
That wasn't answered, so we were waiting for a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's easier said than done. But
It's a very beautiful question again. But I think Naval says, that you got to put yourself in perpetual learning. So when he speaks about specific knowledge, he's using these two words, which is very, very unique. He's saying that it has to be technical and it has to be creative. How much creative are you going to be so that it can't be automated? He says it can't be outsourced. So in my own profession, I used to think, that, okay, I'm a banker doing M&A fundraise. There are many also, but how is it that I can show a skill set which is so different that somebody is going to approach me for what he thinks I'm capable of? How do I make my capability better? That's why Naval said, become the best in which you think, you're excelling, because that's the only way you're going to keep on excelling your specific knowledge. So perpetual learning.
Great. Thank you.
Babu, your closing remarks?
No. So I thought no better answer. You have to keep evolving, and you have to get better at what you're doing. And there's a perpetual learning. We live in a world where you have to be perpetually learning and upgrading your skill set. And if you're passionate in that area, then it comes automatically. You don't need to work for it. So absolutely agree with Shekhar. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Babu,
Over to you,
Rajesh,
Captain.
and Kupperi. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of warm applause to our panelists. And also thank you over 440 viewers of watching this program live. And sorry you sent so many questions. We could pick up only few and think to the paucity of time. And what Babu said, especially for the young, no pain, no gain. Keep creating pain to yourself and don't be a pain to others. And thank you so much. And May I request Venkat also join, Vasu come, let's give a memento to our distinguished panelists for this evening. Can you all take more? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The gift what we give is the CSR initiative, what we do at the poor school, where the children made some beautiful items. That's what we packed and given to them. Thank you so much. Till we meet again.